I'm going to move this. Tonight, we're broadcasting on two platforms. Tonight, we're broadcasting on YouTube and on Instagram. And the reason that we're on two platforms is because it has become painfully apparent to me that a lot of you all are struggling to move from one platform to the other. And the reason being is because I've received some communications from some folks who have told me that it's impossible for them to have the close relationship that they've had with me in the past because the new platform does not allow them to give the private messages that they like to give or have the interaction with me that they've had in the past, especially a lot of the younger children who watch Factz Ova Feelingz or listen in on the Morning Mental. So for the time being, I am going to exist on both platforms at the same time. However, I encourage you to go to the profile of this particular Instagram account and go ahead and link yourself to my YouTube channel and subscribe, and then turn on the alerts. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. Two different qualities of sound tonight. If you're on the YouTube channel, it probably sounds a lot better. If you're still on Instagram, then it may sound a little distant. That's fine. That's on purpose. Commenting is turned off. Your comments mean nothing at this point, so you can cease and desist with that. Tonight, on Factz Ova Feelingz, I am not speaking to anybody in America right now. Tonight's entire segment, I will be talking to all of the NFAC members and associates and coalition members in the United Kingdom. Tonight is your night. The NFAC, as I've said before, is not just some US-based organization like anything that has come before it. It has alliances with groups all around the world that are united to fight bigotry, racism, and oppression. And so to all of my compadres and my comrades in the United Kingdom, I bid you greetings. To everyone else who's tuned in, I welcome you. For all of you all who are students of the Most High and children of the Most High, worshipers of the Most High, and I say Most High, I'm talking about Yahuwah, Yahweh. When I'm talking like this, it's that you're more than welcome to listen. But tonight, I'm talking to my other half over in the UK. Tonight, I have to deal with some situations going on in your part of the world because what's happening with you is also happening here. This is a prime example that what's done to one of us affects all of us, and what's done to all of us is being done by the same people the same way. If you have a problem with what you're hearing, leave. If you're having a problem and you cannot focus because you're so filled with hatred, or you're filled with jealousy, or you're filled with rage, or you're just not sure even if you exist, I see you, then my advice is to go ahead and leave. I am not here to try to get followers. I don't care about followers. I am not here to get money. I don't monetize anything that I do. I am not here to get your approval. The folks who follow me are approval enough. And I'm not here to explain anything to you because I don't owe you anything. You didn't bring me in this world. You won't be taking me out of this world. I came in alone. I shall leave alone. Therefore, I encourage many of you to leave. If this is not your cup of tea, I'm actually trying to reduce the numbers. I encourage you to leave. If you can do better somewhere else, please go there and do better. If you have better ideas, please leave now and go enact those ideas. If you have a better course of action, please leave right now because I have nothing else for you. I am going with those who are devoted, and I'm going with those who have demonstrated loyalty and trust. And I'm going with those who believe that they're being spoken to through me from the Most High, or anyone that you choose to believe in at this time. Everything else, to be honest with you, we're done with all of that. So that being said, now that everyone who needs to leave can leave, I'm looking at the numbers and they're going down. That's excellent. I need all the fake people out of here. I need all the racists out of here. I need all of you all filled with self-loathing and self-hatred out of here. I need all the non-believers out of here. I need all of you all with hidden agendas out of here. I need all of y'all who just nosy as hell out of here. I only need the people who are actually have been following for a while and understand how we got here. Everyone else, you are dismissed, and I never want to see you ever again. I told you, I didn't come for all of you. I only came for those who were smart enough to recognize the times that we're living in, and those enough who are brave enough to put up a fight to do it, and those of us who believe in the liberation of our people, and those who are tired of putting up with the status quo that comes from others who don't look like us and our own kind. Everyone else, you are dismissed. I have no use for you. I have no desire to talk to you anymore. I have no desire to even be around you anymore. And I told you, if I pull off what I'm trying to pull off, most of you won't be there anyway. So now would be a good time for you to give in to your emotions and leave. You see what I'm doing? I'm forcing you to get away from me. Don't stand around and try to figure it out. You know how you feel. Please, I'm going with the goers. Those of you all who have been learned, those of you all who have been taught, those of you all who have been believing and have not been bought. Everyone else, I wish you the best, and I hope one day you get up out of the matrix. That being said, there was something that happened in the United States that a lot of people didn't see coming. And there was something that happened that no one anticipated. They didn't plan on it. So when it happened, they were in shock. When someone's in shock, they have a tendency to stand there. When someone's in shock, they can't respond right away. When someone's in shock, they can't speak. Something happened in the United States that shocked America on both sides. And to my friends in the UK, you too were shocked, but your response has been different. On July the 4th of this year, a large contingent of Black people, just Black people, armed, uniformed, and in a formation, walked into a place where one of the most racist terrorist groups in America was born, or should I say reborn, the Ku Klux Klan. And when that happened, America did not see it coming. America was so blindsided by it, they didn't even know how to describe it. Then when America realized what had happened, they still tried to ignore it, hoping it was a fluke. And then when America saw it about to happen again in Louisville, Kentucky, again, they assumed the worst and they tried their best to come out of shock and they tried to respond. It was a pitiful response. And then America got what they were looking for, something to criticize, because what I'm going to tell you is the truth. They were terrified. They were afraid. To use this term bluntly, it scared the out of them because they saw something they hadn't seen in 60 years. They saw something that they thought they'd never see again. And it reminded them of their worst nightmare, probably about to come true. You see, when you've done things to people, when those people start to get on their feet, the first thing you think about is whether or not they're going to come after you. When the truth of the matter is, that's not what happened. The only thing that happened was a group of people got tired of being oppressed, and they decided to organize themselves to fight back against the oppression because they wanted to take care of their own. And there's nothing wrong with that. Every other race does that. But when Black people do it, it's a problem. When Black people do anything, it's a problem. And the most tragic part about it is that the greatest part of the tragedy is that it's Black people that probably have the most caustic and acidic reaction to it. And when all of this happened, I was one of those people who thought that this was America just being America. You know, the good old boy network was upset and that they were doing the good old boy thing. And I saw some things that kind of gave me pause because of the simple fact that I couldn't understand where these things were coming from. We hadn't done any of them. We hadn't put any of these things out. So where was this coming from? When we started being accused of being terrorists, where did this come from? We never said anything about being terrorists. We're not a self-involved terrorist group. When they said that we were anti-Semitic, I never saw us publish any political stance on whether or not we were opposed to the Jews or anything like that. When they said that we were the new Black Panthers for the Black Panther movement of the 60s, we never said that. We never even came out and said a thing. As a matter of fact, we didn't even talk. We just showed up. When all of these things started to be said and I saw them reflected in the press, I began to realize that the press was enacting a campaign, a program that they always do anytime Black people start to stand up for themselves. And this program is immediately to demify and to tear down that so that the Black folks cannot move forward. And then saw something else that was rather interesting. Started seeing Black folks who got in on it also. Black folks who were doing the job of the white folks, tearing down and destroying whatever Black folks had put together to move themselves forward. Even though there were those people who were happy, thrilled, even though there were those people who were ecstatic about what was happening. Older people have tears in their eyes, people saying, I never thought I'd see something like this. Maybe this is our turning point. And then there were those who were believers who actually believed that they were witnessing a part of scripture come true. And then there were those who actually believed that this is what they've been waiting for all their lives. But their joy was short-lived because they also started watching people who looked just like them going in the opposite direction. And when I saw all this happen, I said, this is America, business as usual. That's what I said. Well, I'll have you know tonight that even though we are poised, again, to make history here in the United States, the NFAC is not alone in this particular type of treatment at the hands of those people that don't look like us. I'm speaking directly to my comrades in the Forever Family Force. For those of you all around the world who are not familiar with the Forever Family Force, Forever Family Force are the group of individuals that you saw dressed in black, standing in formation in the United Kingdom on the Day for Reparations March. This is a day where we commemorate the fact that when slavery ended, the slave owners gave themselves reparations and gave us nothing. That didn't just happen in the United States. That also happened over in the UK. When this happened, everyone said that it was a proud moment. People all over the world said, oh my God, this movement is global. And I was so happy and proud of my brothers and sisters who stood in solidarity with the NFAC and demonstrated under their current laws, which do not allow them to carry weapons, but did allow them to unify and express how they felt. And when this happened, a lot of people, okay, what next? People always say what next when they never got anything started to begin with. People always want to give you advice about something when they've done nothing. People always tend to think that their opinion matters. Your opinions mean nothing. Let me be the one to bust your bubble. This is going to be a very brutal talk tonight. I told you, leave now. You may not ever want to come back and we won't miss you. This is nothing but the truth, unfiltered and in your face. So the Forever Family Force got out there and did what they had to do. And even though a lot of the tabloids in Europe wrote beautiful stories about this show of force in the United States, which was the NFAC, even though they wrote articles that were strikingly accurate about what was going on in the United States, when it happened in their own backyard, they took the same approach to those people that is being taken to the NFAC here in the United States, to the point where the leader of Forever Force Family is now being threatened. His life is being threatened. People are now starting to say the equivalent of he's an agent. He's anti-Semitic. He's going to get us all killed. That's odd. That sounds exactly what I'm hearing in the United States. And there's no way that this is happening all at the same time just by coincidence. So let me share something with the folks who think that I don't have my eyes and ears on the ground around the world while you're still preoccupied with what you're doing here in the United States. The Daily Mail published a story and the headline simply said, "The new face of race hate. Marching through London, they claim to be fighting bigotry. But as this expose by Guy Adams lays bare, their leader revels in anti-Semitic abuse with chilling echoes of 1930s fascism." That's what the headline said. And they're talking about the very people that were actually doing exactly what we did at Stone Mountain, doing exactly what we did in Louisville, doing exactly what I did in Brunswick. And then I started to read the article. It says a group of protesters dressed in black military-style uniforms marched in tight formation through the streets of London. They're led by strapping men who bellow orders such as a tin hut and right face and look like a highly trained group of soldiers out on a parade. Some have dark berets, gloves, and knee-high leather boots. A few are carrying walkie-talkies. At least one is wearing a balaclava. If you don't know what a balaclava is, it's something that looks like a hat that we can pull down into a mask. We wear those in Alaska. It goes on to say, in some way, the scene appears to echo the 1930s, when Oswald Mosley's black shirts took their ugly brand of fascism to working class neighborhoods of our capital city. But this was Brixton last Saturday. Now, if you don't know what I just said to you in the UK, then you need to go and understand who Oswald Mosley was and who the black shirts was, because this is nothing to be compared to like that. The fact that they were wearing all black and that they were strapping black men, which is another word used to describe slaves who bellow like they were walking through the streets with bullhorns attached to their face. That is not what they were doing. I guess a lot of y'all forgot that there's supposed to be a pandemic, so most people were masked. What they don't tell you, and what they should have told you at the beginning of that article, is that the occasion was a march for African Emancipation Day held on the first day of August each year to mark both the anniversary of the date in 1834, when the Abolition of Slavery Act came into force, and to campaign for Britain to pay reparations for its role in the transatlantic slave trade. The same way you all over here like to celebrate Juneteenth, the day that they signed the Emancipation Proclamation in the United States. Well, unfortunately, there was slavery overseas also, and a lot of those British companies that exist today built their fortunes on the backs of slaves from the transatlantic slave trade. So these folks were out there saying to you all, we're not going to keep asking you for reparations. We're going to stop repairing ourselves, which sounds a lot like my "Only We Can Fix Us" campaign slogan that I had back in 2016. You see, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that sometimes the best way to get out of a mess is to get yourself out of it and stop begging the people that put you there to get you out of it. They're saying that in keeping with this tradition, the Forever Family has sparked controversy. Why is it always controversial when black people decide to do something? Why must there be an explanation when black people get together to do something? Why do we have to tell you why we're doing it? We don't ask you why you do the things you do. We don't try to understand why you do the crazy stuff you do. We just have to be the victims of the crazy things you do. And then in the end, when we decide to defend ourselves, organize ourselves, and stand up for what we believe in, it's controversial. You know why it's controversial? I'll tell you, United Kingdom, why it's controversial. It's controversial because when the people who are doing the oppressing see the oppressors start to defend themselves, it's controversial because you thought you had control of them. You thought that they were comfortable in their oppression. You thought they were comfortable in their captivity. But oh, no, no, no. What you found out is that these people have been inspired by those people. That's how we do it. That's how we're going to do it. And that's what they've done. And if that wasn't enough, Every publication came out with an article. Here's another one that says, who are the Forever Family? The secretive British protest group with uniforms and body armor, walkie-talkies and military-style drills who resemble the Black Panther movement in battle against racism. Why is it that every time, watch this, every time Black people get organized, dressed in the same color, and look uniform, you run back to the Black Panthers? Because the Black Panthers was the last example of Black people getting on code and trying to take care of themselves. But they want you to think that looking like the Black Panthers is a negative thing. Trying to emulate taking care of your own community is a negative thing. That's what they want you to think. The same way they think that when a Black person has a gun, there must be a crime afoot. But when white people have guns and go out and kill animals that didn't do anything to them, or kill people who didn't do anything to them, they're just exercising their rights to be armed. Give me a break with that bullshit. Forever Family stepped out and did what they were supposed to do. Forever Family stood up to let you know that we're still going to remember this day. But we're going to remember this day as an organization. Forever Family is an alliance with the NFAC, which is doing the exact same thing in the United States. And you're terrified if we unite together. Well, why is that? Because you know for a fact that you victimize us around the world. And the last thing you want us to do is to become organized around the world. All the rest of you who think that you can imitate what I've created and built for my people, have at it. You're going to find out it's not as easy as you think it is. And I pray that you have a plan for my people, because it's not just about dressing up and walking around with guns. I would advise you to draft a master plan. I would advise you to look over your shoulder and see the united front of all the brothers in the diaspora across the Pan-African movement, across the African continent, across the South American continent, across the Caribbean, across Europe, that have united together. But I see this program being played out, and I see every one of these people coming out and saying these things about us. You know, I find it interesting that in America, once the shock wore off, they decided that it would be to their best advantage to study us, talk with us, interview us, and find out what we're really about, because your feeble attempt to paint a negative picture of us was backfiring in your face. I have to salute the Chicago Defender in the United States, because they wrote an article called The Birth of the NFAC, America's Black Militia. They published that story the day before you went on your historic march for the African Emancipation Day. So to have an article like that pop out, and then you all pop up the next day, and then I salute you. Once again, we caught them off guard. The same way when a Pan-African CFA activist became the face of the rising anti-French sentiment in Francophone in West Africa. I have to salute Kimi Siba again and again and again for unifying with me and the NFAC in its early days, opening the door for other movements to line up with us also. So Forever Family, when you became aligned with us, when they write about you, they're writing about us. In the United States, when you're talking about the NFAC, you're talking about Forever Family. You're talking about the Pan-African French resistance. You're talking about all of us that are united, that for some strange reason, your mind can't seem to expand beyond the country that you're in. It would be so easy for me to pack my bags, get on a plane, and fly to Africa, or fly to the UK, or fly to France, or fly to Colombia, or fly to Haiti, and be with my brothers and sisters who are waiting to get behind me. But instead, I have decided to spend my time trying to liberate some of my brothers and sisters here in the United States that have not succumbed to the brainwash, that have not succumbed to self-hatred, that have not succumbed to doing the work of the oppressor. I could leave right now and I would be perfectly happy. And then I too could take a seat and watch the tragedy and the comedy that is playing out here in the United States. Instead, I have aligned with brothers and sisters all around the world, from South Africa, all the way up to Ethiopia, all the way up to Morocco, all the way up to Barcelona, all the way up to Brixton, all the way up to the Netherlands, all the way up to Switzerland. I have aligned, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let a bunch of petty people who can't see the big picture stop me from achieving what I told you my ultimate goal is. So tonight, I'm speaking to all of those people on the other side of the globe that what they're trying to do to you, for instance, aligning Forever Family with Oswald Mosley. And for those of you all who don't know who Oswald Mosley is, Oswald Mosley was a British politician who came up in the 1920s. He was a member of the parliament. And in the late 1930s, he became the leader of the British Union of Fascists. And he inherited a title, but he is the one who ran around with the black shirts. If you don't know who the black shirts were, let's just put it this way. Mosley got thrown in prison in 1940 and the BUF was banned. He was politically disgraced by his association with fascism. And then he moved abroad and he spent the majority of the rest of his life in Paris. He stood for parliament during the post-war era, but he received little support because this man went out and was one of the most racist people that ever existed. And this was back in the 20s. And the people in Europe know what I'm talking about. His black shirts were nothing like the people that you see right now. Nigel Farage, he came out and said that those guys were terrifying to him. There was another guy that came out, another fascist by the name of Tommy Robinson. He too said that seeing Forever Family was terrifying to him. Mark Collette, who is a far-right political activist and a neo-Nazi, he said that seeing those black people terrified him. Isn't it interesting that all the racists get terrified anytime that they see the people that they've been so racist against stand up for themselves? In the United States, they've done the same thing. Immediately, we're compared with white supremacists, as if to say we're black supremacists, which is a lie. This lie is being perpetuated around the globe. So I had to come tonight to speak to all of my brothers and sisters in the UK. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe trick, as we say here in the US. Don't become bamboozled and buy into the BS. And don't let these people turn you against those people that are standing up. Just because someone knows their history, just because someone knows the true race of a particular people doesn't make them anti-anything. You all need to really stop thinking that everybody that's brown is one of you. There are a lot of people that look like me who didn't come from the same sperm that I came from. There are a lot of people that if you just peel back the layers and look at who they're hooked up with, you'll stop being so loyal to them. So what if someone brought you out of the darkness? They can also lead you back into the darkness. No, I'm not the one who's going to lead you to getting killed. What you fail to realize in your limited intelligence is the reason that I built international alliances is so that I'm not outnumbered. 50 million of us here cannot, but aligned with all of our allies, aligned, our numbers swell to well over 150 million at this time. 150 million. United, 150 million globally, aligned behind NFAC, 150. I'm going to say it one more time in case you just tuned in, 150 million. So you keep sitting there with your small-minded ideas and think that the only people that are working together are the handful you see here. That is why tonight I have to speak to Forever Family. They're giving you death threats. Well, I'm afraid my own people will kill me. They're saying that you're anti-Semitic. Well, I've got black people right here that are saying that I'm anti-everything. They're saying that you are reminiscent of the Nazis and so forth. Don't feel bad. I've got people here in the United States that says I'm working for our oppressors. You see, this program that is being acted out against us all around the world is showing us where we're going to have to draw the line when the 150 million grows even more. And it comes down to not what you say, but what are you going to do? Do you smell it? That foul odor that's in the air when something you thought was dead is unearthed? Well, that's the smell of what we call old man Jim Crow in the United States crawling back into our daily lives. You know, one of the most horrendous and abhorrent forms of Jim Crow violence that I remember, or that was enacted on us, I'm remembering from teaching, I wasn't there, was the racial caste system that was operated between 1877 and the mid-1960s, primarily in the southern United States, and was the publicity-sanctioned use of racial terror lynchings. They would hang us. And these killings were perpetuated by those who enjoyed the protection of white supremacist social policies designed to maintain strict control of African Americans through the systemic use of terror. There's plenty documentations of those lynchings. Matter of fact, there is a National Memorial for Peace and Justice, which opened in April 26th of 2018, as if to make us feel better that they're remembering it. And in the UK, you too had your seasons of lynchings. You had your bombings and so forth. I'm fully aware of that. But what we're talking about now is this question. Dehumanizing violence by putting up a memorial is not a treatment to heal us from the history and the trauma that we have experienced as Black people worldwide. Remember, Jim Crow, as we called it, and what you call the treatment that you get right now over in the UK, was grounded in the lie of Black inferiority, dismantling the impacts of that lie on individuals and communities. We've got to break those. So whatever Forever Family did was the first step in dismantling the impact of the lie that's been told about us. It falls on individuals. It falls on communities. It's been an ongoing efforts of members. You know, the Association of Black Psychologists, they were founded almost 50 years ago, so that the psychology of Africans of African descent can assist in the solving of problems of Black communities and other ethnic groups was formed 50 years ago. Nothing's changed. We've gone backwards. What I'm getting at is this to my friends overseas. What they're doing to you is nothing more than a continuation of a program of what they've done to everyone around the globe. And any time that we decide to stand up for our own, don't expect them to talk positively about us. The only time that they're going to write something positive about you, the only time that they're going to stop lying on you, the only time that even people who look like you will begin to understand the impact of what you're doing, for one side, is when they begin to view you as an equal. And for people who look like you, when they begin to view you not as a threat. Those two things have to happen in order for us to stop finding ourselves in the same position that we've been in since we got out of slavery. I am so sick and tired of hearing the negative things that are being said about the young man that led that march. I'm so sick and tired of the lies that I've had to hear him defend. I'm sick and tired of having to hear myself be lied on, demonified, and people coming at me like, well, I don't know now. Then I tell you, go back to where you were. Because if you think that you want to do this on your own, be my guest. I have no problem exiting stage left. And for all of you people who are so lost, for those of y'all who can't see the big picture, for those of y'all who are full of self-loathing, for those of y'all still filled with self-hate, that the sight of Black people's getting themselves together terrifies you, then why don't you just go and join up with our oppressors and stop pretending to be one of us? I know it's late in the UK, and I promised that I would come tonight and speak to you. I'm looking forward to meeting you when I touch down in the UK, just as I'm being waiting on, as they say, they're waiting on me to set down in Africa, and they're waiting for me to set down in Jamaica. They're waiting for me. So I bid you all of my support. Again, I'm coming publicly to say this to all of the powers to be in the UK, that you can stop the program against Forever Family because of the fact that they're forever my family and I am aligned with them. And what they're doing, what you're doing to them, your counterparts are over here doing in the United States with the help of some black people. I find it amazing that the folks in the UK aren't dealing with that right now. The folks in the UK are on one accord. I also want to give a shout out to the Zinga Garvey movement, which is another one of the alliances in the UK that the NFAC is tightly aligned with and supports to the death. You too are on the same page, and you too are suffering just like the other folks here. You're being lied against. They're using propaganda against you. They're using the media against you. But at the end of the day, remember, the word is terrified. They are terrified. Why are they terrified? Because they feel like you're about to get yourselves together and pay them back instead of paying you what's owed to you. We don't want payback. We want payment. We don't want justice from you. We want just us. We don't want an apology or a statue. We want you to leave us alone and let us determine our own destiny. That is the purpose of this global exercise. We want our own. You've got your own. Why can't we have our own? As you say in the UK, I bid you cheers. I also bid you shalom. I have spoken. You can play this back as many times as you need to hear what I have said. To all those folks in the United States, I meant every word of what I said. You don't have to rock with me. You're free to leave, and I wish you the best. But for me and mine, we're going to choose to do that which has already been written for us to do. No more explanations, no more speeches, no more nothing, just pure action. I bid you all a good night. I thank you all for taking the time to tune in. And for those of you all in the UK, I bid you almost a good morning. To those of you all in the United States, I bid you shalom. This has been Factz Ova Feelingz. Why does Black unity terrify you so much? That's only something you can answer. Shalom.